Hey guys, welcome to Ringsiders. We are joined tonight by Break the Apocalypse's wonderful, talented human being, Big Show Brian. How you doing, man?
You guys always give the best introductions, man. I got to step my game up.
I was about to add to that introduction that he has a voice of American caramel.
This is true.
His name is Big Show Brian, so I think we need to up the game a little bit, So
this is why he should have done the introduction, Brian, not me.
Beautiful cadence. I love his face. A voice like caramel. Host of Halloween 365 and co-host of Break the Apocalypse. Big Show Brian, Come on,
this is why he should have done it. This is why.
God damn it, man.
Before we talk wrestling, I love the fact that we've all got somebody behind us. Rivers has got Nick Cave, you've got Michael Myers, and I've got Christian.
I don't know if I'm allowed to say this or not, but I was in my office late one night and in a different state of mind, and I looked around and there's posters on my bookshelf. I've got like the old Star Wars. Yeah. There's just faces everywhere, and I started freaking out, getting paranoid. Like there's all these people staring at me.
You got They Live in the background there as well. That's a classic.
So my brother, for my birthday, after I told him that, he got me a Mandalorian picture with like all the different helmets on it. So I had 9 more faces to stare at me while I was doing my thing. So
Brilliant. Well, I know we're going to talk Backlash, and I don't.
Jamie, before we get to that, have you seen the new teaser image from Halloween Kills, Brian?
I have not. I kind of got the first one ruined a bit. I was way too into like the spoilers and watching all the trailers and stuff, so I've kind of stayed away. But no, what's up?
Well, it just popped up on my Twitter feed, and it's not too bad. I mean, obviously we're all expecting the mask to be burnt and so on and so forth from the end of the last movie, but it's very subtle, the burning of the mask. It just looks chef's kiss. It looks great, but no spoilers about it. Obviously, apart from the fact that the side of the mask is a bit burnt. So
it does look.
But yeah, it looks great. It looks fantastic. So
it's got me really. It does look good.
Got me really hyped. It's got me really hyped.
But you see, speaking horror, that's why I don't want to go in order with Backlash. I'm just going to pick matches out. So I figured we might as well talk about zombies, because I mean, what?
Yeah, should we get the shit out? Because it was a very good pay-per-view. I think I thought it was pretty decent. We'll get the shit out of the way first, and then we'll go from there, I suppose. Yeah,
sure. It was a solid show. But what's your thoughts then, Brian, on the zombies? And everyone's blaming Batista.
He didn't book the shit.
Exactly.
Yeah. He's not back there with like Dana Warrior and Stephanie McMahon and everybody. Like, you know what? I'm in the zombie movie. Let's just do zombies. No, he didn't do that. He just gave a promotional. What did Alfred Hayes used to say? Promotional consideration paid for by the following. I just realized how offensive that's probably going to be to you guys for me to do a really bad Lord Alfred Hayes. I apologize.
Actually, it was pretty good. Actually, I thought it was pretty good.
That was pretty good. That was probably better than we could do.
Sorry. But no, yeah, they were just doing a crossover thing. It's not Batista's. Look, they didn't even plug when he was Drax in Guardians of the Galaxy. Right. So the fact that they're going so far is to book zombies in a match because he's in a zombie movie. I at least appreciate the effort, but yeah, that's a big no for me.
Yeah, big no for me as well.
I don't know. I mean, they could have just shown a trailer or plugged it between matches. They didn't have to have real life zombies kind of coming out there and
I will admit the one good thing that might have come from it, and I might get some hate by people who listen to this, but the zombies seem to have taken John Morrison. I kind of hope that's for good, because I've never understood the guy. I nothing against the guy, but I just don't get him. He just nothing for me, and he never has. Maybe that was the one good thing that came out of the zombies, that they seem to eat John Morrison. So fingers crossed.
Well, they've been using Tom Savini for their effect stuff with like the Fiend and stuff like that. Yeah. If they, I think they could have gotten away, or at least it would have been a little different if they'd have had the zombies eating somebody else, like an extra, and just have Tom Savini do like a throat rip, or like the dude getting ripped apart. Go for it. I mean, if you're gonna have zombies, go for it.
I mean, they did the goofy eyeball gimmick a little while back, didn't they, with Seth Rollins and Rey Mysterio?
They did.
The ping pong ball in the eye. So yeah, why not get Tom Savini in and do something a bit special? Yeah.
If you're gonna go there, rip a jugular or tear a dude in half.
You see, Brian, you're booking stuff again. You fancy booking stuff again and making me sad that I'm never going to get to see it. You do this to me all the time.
I just felt sorry for Batista because he had fans on Twitter going in at him, and he actually replied to someone. Did you see it? He's like, "Why are you fucking telling me I'm on a plane? Blame Vince McMahon." I'm like,
who I feel really sorry for is Latino Aleister Black, because I think he's better than this kind of zombie stuff like that. I think he's a megastar. You know, he's 6'7" tall. He's got lovely long braids. He's got a great physique. You know, he does that amazing spin kick. He's a great wrestler, and I just think it's a bit of a shame that they're kind of not launching him to the stratosphere. Really, they're just bogging him down with a never-ending feud with Miz and silliness like this. So
it reminds me what they did with Bam Bam Bigelow on his second run in the early 90s, how like they stuck him with DiBiase, so he did the matches with Doink, and then he did the match with LT, which was really good. For those of you who want one of the better celebrity matches, go back and watch it from WrestleMania 11, but I just hope they don't do that with this guy, because he is talented. The one thing I did like about the match is it was a different kind of match. Because with the dynamic of the zombies on the outside, I noticed every time someone went by a rope, they're almost distracted and coming back. Yeah. It reminded me of almost the dynamic they had with Raw Underground a year ago. Mm-hmm. To where it was just a different style of match, almost like Josh Barnett's Bloodsport or a no-rope match. So I did enjoy it from that standpoint, but I'm not a huge fan of The Miz, and the zombies were just a little bit too far out there for me.
That's why I started with it, because I thought we've got to talk zombies and get it out of the way, because like Rivers said, aside from that, it was one hell of a good pay-per-view. You know, in ring-wise, the matches were really good. I can't pick a bad match out. I mean, Damian Priest and The Miz wasn't a bad match. It was just spoiled by the zombies. But, you know, I'll move on to the tag team match. Obviously, the Mysterios and the Dirty Dogs. I thought that was an incredible match. You know, it really was, the way they played into Dominik being, you know, attacked backstage and then coming out. And there was a little part of me at some point, I honestly thought Rhea and Dominik, they were going to feud at some point. I thought Rhea was going to refuse to tag him, and I was like, we're leading to a father-son feud here.
Oh.
Obviously, they went with the tag team titles, which was great. But
I think maybe down the line they might do something like that. What I liked about that match is it was kind of good old-fashioned wrestling booking, you know? Like, you know, they took one of the guys out, and like, the other guy goes and fights the good fight by himself, and he's getting his ass handed to him, and then, you know, and then Dominik comes out, and it's you know, it's good old-fashioned wrestling booking. That's what I really liked about the match. So.
Yeah, it was, and one of the things I noticed too is they could easily have just given Dominik the hot tag, and then he wins, but then they cut him off. And then Ray had to fight back and help his kid, and there was some nuanced stuff in there, which was really cool, and maybe a little bit more in-depth than WWE does from time to time, because their matches tend to be long, but they don't always go too deep like that. It's just still basic storytelling. But I thought that was really good, and to be honest with you, I forgot Robert Roode was in WWE because I don't watch week to week anymore. So I was watching the show last night. I'm like, man, Robert Roode's still there. And then I'm watching the match, and I was really enjoying him. You know, more so than Dolph Ziggler, because I'm kind of past him. But I thought they did a good job. They had some good double team moves, like the slide out to the super kick. That was pretty cool. But you're right. It was a classic. Cut off the baby face and keep him from the tag because he wasn't there, and it made for a really good story. So no, I thought it was really cool.
I'm so bad at watching week to week that Michael Cole said on the commentary that the Dirty Dogs have been champions since January, and I was like, really? I had no idea. If you would have asked me 24 hours ago who's the SmackDown Tag Champs, I'd be like, I don't know. I have no idea. Not a clue. But I did really enjoy Rey Mysterio's kind of Batman outfit. You know, it's kind of like a bit of a nod to Batman.
Yeah, the Adam West style. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very Neil Adams 70s Batman. I thought, you know, kind of the classic light blue and grey with the yellow insignia. I thought that was.
Yeah. Kind of nice. I think putting Ziggler and Roode together has actually been really good for them both. It's kind of rejuvenated them both, and they're a really good heel tag team. I think they'll get the belts back at some point because I'm going to call it now. I think SummerSlam we're going to get father versus son. I think you're going to get Dominik heel turn building into SummerSlam in August, which I'm all for. I'm totally down for that. You know,
if they don't rush it for Father's Day in a month.
Well, because we all know WWE are notorious for rushing things, don't we? So, but
I'm not trying to put it out there so it happens. I'm just, you know, they're kind of predictable sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, and you can always play into like the whole Eddie Guerrero thing from 15, 16 years ago, when you know. Dominik
maybe there's an extra twist to that story that he is actually Eddie's kid, you know, something, you know. I think that was a story back then, wasn't it? So
I'm calling it now. I'm calling it father-son SummerSlam. calling that.
So what did you think of the women's three-way? That sounds dirtier than it is. Like triple threat match.
Which one? There was a couple last night that I checked out.
The Charlotte Flair, Asuka, and
Rhea Ripley.
Aussie. Yes, Rhea Ripley. Thank you.
I thought it was really good. I feel bad for Asuka because I feel like maybe she hasn't had a chance to really get a run on her own and establish herself as champion. There's always been
she's eaten a lot of pins as well.
Yeah, and there's always other stuff going on around her that kind of takes precedence. But then again, Charlotte. So what are you going to do? Have her on the roster feuding with Natalya? It's I don't know. You kind of have to feature her. Charlotte looked really good last night.
Yeah. I like
the new kind of makeup style. Yeah.
I said that to Callum. She looks really, really good. And it's not going to be long before she's, a 14-time champ, and then she's going to end up like 53. Well, 53-time champion, isn't she, at some point? But
she kind of looks a little Cruella de Vil, and I noticed that she was wearing like a Dalmatian-y spotted attire. So that was kind of, I know there's a movie coming out soon, the Cruella movie. So I didn't know whether or not there maybe. Because they love to reference movies, don't they, all the time?
Oh, great. Does that mean we're going to get Dalmatians around the ring at some point? Oh.
Yeah, a lumberjack match with 101 Dalmatians surrounding.
Oh my god! They'll be like the old kennel from hell. They'll be peeing on the floor and humping each other.
God, imagine that! But again, another solid match.
Really good action back and forth. Sometimes just having that, one after another back and forth action for 20 minutes is, I mentioned in-depth nuanced storytelling. Sometimes you just want to watch people beat the shit out of each other and not to get ahead of myself. That's what I liked about the men's three-way down the road. But this one was even good for that because at any given moment in that match, I thought anybody could win. I had no idea who was going to win that women's match. And then Asuka hit that back kick on, I think, Rhea Ripley right before the end. I'm like, no way. They're going to put Asuka over Rhea Ripley and Charlotte in a triple threat. And then they didn't, of course. Yeah. But they had me fooled for a minute, man. I thought it was pretty... Look, I enjoyed this card better than WrestleMania, I think.
Yeah,
I think so. I
enjoyed the show more than I enjoyed WrestleMania. I think, like I said, it was a really solid show last night. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It's been a long time since I've watched the pay-per-view and watched every match without skipping through bits. I really, really enjoyed it. I'm hoping they can keep this momentum going. You've got Hell in a Cell next month, so I'm hoping they can keep it going to that. But I also enjoyed Bayley and Bianca. The only thing I'm not enjoying is why Bayley suddenly got this new irritating laugh.
Yeah, I don't get Bayley. I don't get heel Bayley. Like, what is it? She's annoying, which is fine. Yeah. But she almost looks like a goth cocker spaniel with that hair, and it's. I don't know, man. And not to knock her, she's a beautiful woman.
She's amazing.
And a great performer. I don't get the heel character.
Because she's doing like a Mania. She's doing like a kind of like a bit of a comedy shtick, with the glasses and
the ding dong hello thing.
Yeah. But then she's like quite vicious in that match last night. She was quite very heelish. She was really like putting her feet on the ropes, poking eyes, things like that. Doing lots of little dastardly little things. Right. So she goes from being kind of goofy to being real vicious. It's strange. It's strange.
It's just this whole new this laugh that she's suddenly doing non-stop. I'm like, why? It's just you can see it's so fake and false. I know she's acting, but it's just that's driving me insane because otherwise, I like Bayley. I think she's incredible, but lose the laugh. There's a little part of me that thought with Mania and stuff and this ding dong, this talk show host. There was a part of me thinking, are we slowly turning Bayley back to being a babyface again? But then after last night, I'm a bit like, no, she's still a full-blown heel.
I think if they continue doing the whole ding-dong thing, it'll catch on and they'll have no choice to turn her back to a babyface, I think, because it's kind of goofy stuff like that really catches fire these days. So.
Right. And one thing I noticed about the show is whether the action is good or not, watching like the stories being told, like the zombie thing or like some of the hacky jokes and stuff, it reminds me of when my kids watch Nickelodeon sitcoms. It's just, I get like this show is made for 12-year-olds and they just throw it out there and they don't care. And like the ding dong, like this weird annoying stuff that would probably get over but appeals to young kids. It's hard for me to get into and stay into, to be honest with you. But no, the action was good last night. I was not a big I was not a huge fan of the match between Bayley and Bianca Belair. It seemed really sloppy. And I noticed this, and maybe in places, and maybe I'm being too harsh, but they really tried very hard. But I've noticed this with the NXT call-ups lately, is they've called these people up that don't have a whole lot of experience. Like Bayley had experience, I think, before WWE. Becky Lynch had wrestled and retired and come back to wrestling before coming to WWE. So you had these people with experiences and could be ring generals and pull people through good matches. But Bianca Belair's only been in the business 2 or 3 years. And not just in WWE, in the business 2 or 3 years. So I've noticed that with her, Rhea Ripley even looked out of place in some spots in the triple threat match too. So I don't know what'll happen. I don't know if it'll change or they'll get used to it, or God, what happens when they go to live crowds?
Oh,
that'll be interesting to see.
If we can just circle back to the Charlotte Flair Rhea Ripley Asuka match, I thought the end of that match was a bit strange because they threw Charlotte to the outside and then Asuka came over and then she got booted, and then Charlotte I think fell off the ring apron, but the camera
missed
funny.
it.
Yeah, and then so I want to know. It seemed to me like she was just stood on the outside of the ring while Rhea Ripley hit her finish and got the pin. And I was wondering why didn't she jump back in and break up the pin? You know, like what happened there? They didn't show her falling off and taking a bump or anything, so it just seemed a bit sloppy. But that might be to do with the camera angles and the editing. I'm not sure really. So,
yeah, but I've been saying this for a while now with NXT that I do feel like a lot of them are getting called up too soon. You know, with no real plan in place, and they're wasting these talents. If you haven't got, I think Triple H said it. He wants them to come up with a 6-month plan. You know, if you haven't got
at least have a 6-month plan.
Leave them in NXT. You know, the amount of talent that have come and been released since being brought up is ridiculous. And I actually enjoyed the match, but I agree with you. I think Bianca Belair should maybe have stayed in NXT a bit longer. But I don't know what it is with this calling them up. As soon as they get popular on NXT, it's like Vince wants them on Raw and SmackDown straight away.
Well, I can understand that. Oops, sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, no, I was going to say, then he calls them up real quick, but then, you know, he gets bored of them or he doesn't do anything with them, or, you know, look at Aleister Black, for instance, you know, the biggest fuck up in the last 20 years, you know, it's got to be.
Probably,
yeah. Sorry, Brian, you go ahead. You were going to...
No, that's all right. No, I like your point, because if you imagine some of the guys they brought up and done nothing with, if you take Keith Lee and Aleister Black and you put them back down in NXT right now, you can do a lot of stuff with both of those guys.
Yes.
Yeah. You have Killer Cross or Karrion Kross, whatever he's called now. Him and Aleister Black are very similar in their type of character. They're both dark and brooding. They could play off of each other. They could form a stable. I mean, you could do so much stuff even with those two. Add Keith Lee to the mix. He was a guy who was on a roll down there a little bit, but they just don't. I don't know, man. And then you got Raquel Gonzalez, who's good, but she's green. And then what happens when she's on top for 6 months or a year? They're going to bring her up too.
Oh, she'll be called up. She'll be the next one called up. Because I heard Io Shirai was going up, but obviously she's still in NXT, which I'm glad. Because I think they're the next era up. So I'm glad she's staying there for now. But it wouldn't surprise me at all if Raquel Gonzalez gets called up before the end of the year. And Vince likes big, tall, athletic stars as well. And she's, 6 foot? So he's going to want her straight on the main roster. Speaking
of big athletic people, should we talk about the manly man-meat 3-way man-on-man, muscly man-man action?
I thought you were going to bring up Barry Horowitz again.
No, he's just in the... He's godlike tier, Barry Horowitz. You know, he would have won this match if it was a 4-way. He'd have won, hands down. Lashley versus Braun versus Drew McIntyre.
Sorry, he was godlike tier before he threatened to sue us, right?
Well, you know, that's a whole other story. We'll tell off air.
Oh, I won't say anything because I don't want to get you guys in trouble, but that's horseshit.
Yeah.
It really is. It really is.
I'll just say this, Brian. He backtracked in the end when he found out he was in the wrong. Let's just leave it at that. So,
okay, good.
Yeah.
So so Lashley, Braun, and Drew. It was such a basic bitch of a match, but I really enjoyed it. Just big moves, throwing each other around through tables, through LED screens. You know, I loved it. So there.
I really enjoyed it. I was watching it. When I was watching it, I was like, this is really good. You got these 3 big guys, and you could tell that they wanted to make a statement. They wanted to make an impression. They really went all out to make this a really good, entertaining match. 3 big guys beating the living shit out of each other, and I genuinely enjoyed it. I'm really glad for the outcome. I said this to John when we did the WrestleMania one. I really want Lashley to get a really big, long run with that title because I think he's doing the best work of his career at the minute.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people are high on his TNA stuff or his Impact stuff, but this is just, I think with him, with the mouthpiece, with the look, the presentation, the opponents that they've put him with, because let's remember, he came in first and he had Leo Rush, and Leo Rush was a good talker and a charismatic guy, but now he's got a complete package. I'm still not a fan that they took the other guys away from him, Shelton Benjamin, and
they should have kept the Hurt Business together for sure.
That
had legs. Yeah. That had legs for sure.
That did. That could have gone on for a long time.
Yeah.
But at least they didn't give up on Bobby, and they're still pushing him. And he's doing a phenomenal job. And he doesn't. People say, "Oh, he can't talk," or he doesn't have to.
Yeah.
No. He doesn't have to, and it's working out just fine. And I know I was kind of harsh on Drew McIntyre last time I was on your guys' show, but watching him do a Michinoku driver to Braun Strowman last night blew my mind. I was like, what the hell am I watching?
Yeah, I popped for it. Yep.
Yeah, I genuinely enjoyed it. And I said, I mean, I'm not a massive Strowman fan. I think they really dropped the ball on him back a few years ago when he was feuding with Reigns. I thought, this guy's incredible. He's turning over lorries and cars and beating the living hell out of Reigns, and they were literally going at it, beating the crap out of each other. And now you've got him running around the ring, making train noises when he knocks people over. I'm like, that's another guy.
I want to know what his gimmick is, because he dresses like a soldier. You know, he's got the combat trousers, like the army green shirt and the gloves and everything. Like, is he supposed to be some kind of marine?
Desert?
I think
strike soldier. I don't know.
Mercenary.
He's from like North or South Carolina, right?
Somewhere, yeah.
Like that. Yeah, I think he's like
probably just a big good old boy. Maybe not. Yeah, corn-fed country boy. Exactly.
Yeah.
But I mean, no knock on the guy. He's got in ridiculous shape as well. I mean, kudos to him for that. But I do hope this is a turning point and we can get the monster back, because he put in one hell of a performance last night as well. I'm just glad, like I said, I want Lashley to carry that belt for a long time. I wasn't a big fan when he came back and they signed him, because I personally thought he was boring. You know, his TNA work,
me too.
His TNA work was good, and then they kind of brought him back to WWE, but not as the same character. So it was back to Lashley, previous to WWE Lashley. And I was like, well, nothing's changed. He's back to boring, not getting over, and now they've let him go with this, and the guy's unstoppable. I didn't realize he's 44 years old. You know, I didn't realize he was 44 years old. And
he looks good, man.
He's crazy. Yeah, he looks amazing.
Career. But I mean, who do you think's up next? I mean, if Strowman and McIntyre both lost last night, who's next to challenge the Almighty?
I have no idea. Unless they bring in someone like Keith Lee, and Keith Lee doesn't agree with their MO, or they try to recruit him and he doesn't go with them, I could see something like that. But I have no idea otherwise, unless it's someone like Randy Orton, which we've seen a billion times.
I think they should keep Drew away from the title for a while. Maybe they can kind of put him into a program with Braun, keep him away for a while, maybe bring him back around SummerSlam time or something like that. But for the meantime, I'd love to see Keith Lee maybe challenge for the title.
Well, I mean, I'm just going to throw it out there. I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing one last Triple H run, 15 times, but that's just me as a Triple H guy. I'm sure you two disagree with that.
I would never put Triple H in the ring ever again.
I'm with you, Rivers. Rivers. No way.
By the way, you mentioned Randy Orton. Randy Orton's now in this tag team with Matt Riddle, isn't he? RK Bro. So I think he's been taken out of the picture for a bit.
See, that's the hard thing with me not paying attention as much week to week. As you ask a question like that, I don't even know who would be next in line, to be honest with you.
No, I
have no idea who they've been. I have no idea who they've been building up. Really, maybe Daniel Bryan does a surprise return, and he's on Raw now because he's been banished from SmackDown.
That would be a great matchup too.
Yeah,
I do.
Classic David versus Goliath.
You're gonna hate this, Rivers.
I do.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Callum, and then I'll or not Callum. Jesus Christ, your name's throwing me off, Jamie. Go ahead.
You've got Hell in a Cell coming up next. I do have that little fear in my head that we're going to get the same match again, but in a cell with the three guys, which wasn't a bad match last night, but I don't want to see it again in a cell. That's the way I'm thinking, but I don't know if you've got an idea, Brian.
I would rather see like River said, I'd rather see Drew and Strowman in a cell just literally tear the house down.
Yeah.
With Bobby Lashley, I had an idea a while back. Bobby Lashley, because obviously it's a black group, but not to reduce it to a lowest common denominator, but it was almost like a black pride group versus Daniel Bryan, the Great White Hope. And not in a necessarily racial sense, but you were the Great White Hope. You've got, you say you're an underdog, but you've got chance after chance. You're married to the Bella. You're locked in. Like, it's almost like call them out as far as, like, it's our time now. You had your time, step aside.
Yeah.
And we need to prove we're here. And how better to do that than... Now, this was when they were more militant, I was thinking that direction. But as far as just a one-on-one matchup, Daniel Bryan versus Bobby Lashley would be incredible. Because Bryan would know how to sell his ass off for Lashley, but still be fiery. And, oh, man, that'd be amazing.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I did hear somebody mention Lesnar's name not that long ago. But I don't know if that's more... I would suggest that's more of a SummerSlam match than a Hell in a Cell match. But I have heard Lesnar's name mentioned, which could be interesting. I know Lashley wants that match, doesn't he? So, I mean, I'd be down with that. But, yeah, like I said, I would suggest that would more of a SummerSlam match than a Hell in a Cell match.
Yeah, that seems like a big box office match.
Yeah, it does. But speaking of big box office matches, my favourite match of the night, Reigns Cesaro. I mean, that was, Cesaro for me cemented himself as a main event star last night. He belonged in that match and he proved it. It was from start to finish.
And it was the polar opposite of the other title match, and like it was slow and methodical, and it was really psychological and lots of holds and headlocks and arm bars, and it was and then a few kind of power spots, and then back to it was very much a classic wrestling match.
Scientific as Gorilla Monsoon.
Yeah, scientific. Yes, yeah.
But it was a damn good match, and it made you believe Cesaro. I always believed he was maybe going to take it at one point. He was constantly kicking out of things. He was proving that I am as easy to beat as you think I am, Reigns. He belonged in that match. I thought the ending was great. I don't think he actually tapped out. Didn't he pass out?
Passed out,
yeah.
Which to me, legitimises that to me. Sorry, I've got to pop up. We've got 10 minutes left.
Right. They both looked strong as fuck in that match as well. Like, they both looked really strong. So, I had no complaints about that match, really.
Yeah, it was really good, man. And like you said, you've seen other guys that get called up, and after a long time, they've said, oh, I was supposed to be the guy, or I should have been the guy. And then they go and had that position, and they look out of place. He didn't look out of place at all. No. He looked like he could hang. It reminds me when Daniel Bryan, not to mention him again, but reminds me when Daniel Bryan first got his chance and started fighting main event guys, and you're like, man, this dude can hang. He can really do this. That's what I felt with Cesaro. I almost said Charlotte. Cesaro is, I don't think he'll ever be their guy, but I could see him in that Daniel Bryan position, always working in the main event and having something interesting going on. I would almost like to see them give him a mouthpiece like they have with Lashley, but I don't know, man. I think that dude's been good ever since. I mean, I saw him in 2005. He was with Swiss Money Holdings and Ring of Honor, fighting Nigel McGuinness. I think they fought in a pure title match. Just dude's been good ever since. Just give him a shot, let him roll. They need fresh faces.
No, I agree. Apologies if you guys can't see me. I've clicked on something. I don't know where I am, but I am still here.
I can see.
We can see him.
Cool. I can't see you guys. I don't know what's going on, but yeah, I am still here. It just said we've got about 10 minutes left, so I'll. What I was thinking, obviously, with the match, I think you're going to get Rollins and Cesaro in the cell next month. I love that ending, the way Rollins came down and just beat the hell out of Cesaro. They're going to build on the arm. But I mentioned to Callum earlier, last year's Hell in a Cell, you got Reigns versus Jey Uso. I feel we're going to get Reigns Jimmy Uso this year. And I think Jimmy's going to accept and acknowledge Reigns like Jey did last year.
Yep. And really build that strong kind of Samoan faction behind him as well. Yeah.
That's what I think is...
Well, that's a good idea, and I thought it was really smart to have Seth Rollins come back out again and attack Cesaro, because that gives Cesaro another path to go down and not keep chasing the title for now. You know,
Yeah.
they can't get.
Yeah, it was a nice taste. He can get away from it and have a reason to.
Yeah. Again, a good old fashioned wrestling booking. Like, give him a reason to not chase the title because he's got another diversion now. So I thought that was really, really smart and really good.
Yeah, no, I loved the ending. I thought it was brilliant. I want to see. I think it's only a matter of time before Jimmy joins up with them. But then I also thought, who are you going to have to kind of help Cesaro? I mean, Bryan's gone. Your other baby faces are what? Big E, Kevin Owens. They're in the IC title feud. I mean, who else have you got unless did the turn Seth Rollins face? I mean, I don't know where they're going to go with this.
I thought it was odd because they just let Samoa Joe go.
Yes.
If Samoa Joe, if they'd have hung on to him and he could have done almost like, I'm Samoan, but you never claim me as family because I'm not Anoa'i or however you say their name.
Yeah.
And it's like that rift there. Like maybe they try to recruit him, not to repeat myself, but maybe they try to recruit him because, you're one of the family. Oos. He's like, I never been an Oos. What are you talking about? You didn't want anything to do with me until you need someone to watch your back. Now you got problems with Jimmy and Jay, and now I'm a part of the family. I've never dined at your table. All that type of shit, And you could have done something interesting there, and then you have Jimmy and Jay to play off of Samoa Joe and Roman because, okay, who's going to turn? Who's going to stay? Where are your allegiances?
Yeah.
So, but Joe's gone, so who knows what they're going to do now?
No, I totally agree. Joe would have been perfect. I still can't get my head around why they released him. It's a big loss. And whatever company picked him up, they've got a star on their hands. We spoke to Kerry Silkin the other week. I think Kerry said to us, I'm praying and begging that somehow we find all the money in the world to bring Joe back to Ring of Honor. you never know. But before we wrap up as well, can we all just appreciate Seth Rollins' dress sense? Them suits every week are incredible. That
was a tight suit. Loved it.
Yeah, I like his outfits more than I like Seth Rollins. I'm not a huge Seth Rollins fan, I'll be honest.
That's interesting, because I quite like Seth Rollins. I'm not so sure, but I wasn't really into like the Monday Night Messiah gimmick, but I think what they've kind of transitioned into now has kind of got legs, I guess. Like, what do you not like about it, Brian?
Maybe it's he's overexposed, but like out of the Shield, I think a lot of people figured Ambrose would be the guy because he just had the character work down, and they just pushed Rollins, and they pushed Rollins, and they pushed Rollins, and it's like, okay, so he beats Sting, he beats John Cena, he beats this guy, he beats Bryan, he beat everybody, and I don't think he was all that. He was good in the ring. Not great as a character, and he started getting over because of his in-ring work, and they kept trying to push him as a heel. And I just think they just tried almost like with Roman, they tried so much for so long that I just kind of soured on him. And I almost would like a break, but well, there's nothing wrong with him. It's just not my cup of tea, I guess.
Yeah. We've always said that it should have been Reigns to originally turn on the Shield and so on, and then I think. If Seth had a kind of a bit of a babyface run right out of the gate, and Reigns was the authority, that would have worked probably better. But then again, having said that, I don't know, we wouldn't have got this Reigns that we've got now, and I'm absolutely in love with this Reigns. So
yeah, if we had to suffer through 4 years of babyface Roman to get this, I'll take it.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, it's been worth it. Yeah, it's definitely been worth it.
It has now, yeah. But we've got 4 minutes left, Ryan. So before we cut off, first of all, thank you. As always, we're going to reach out and get you guys back on again. But do you want to let everyone know where to find you? The podcast, your social medias?
Yeah, you can find Break the Apocalypse anywhere you find podcasts, and we also have extended and bonus episodes on Patreon at patreon.com/breaktheapp. You can find us on Twitter, Facebook, and Twitter and Facebook at Break the App. You can find me on Twitter, Facebook, and Letterboxd at BShowBrian, and I also have a YouTube channel called Halloween 365, and I put up horror-related content there pretty regularly. But man, I love you guys. Thank you so much for kind of hanging out with me because I had a meeting that ran over. I really I'm still in my shirt and tie. Obviously,
you look very sharp.
Yeah, I look like Mick Foley without the talent. But no, I do. I appreciate it. We love you guys. We love what you do. You guys are like hustling, pumping shit out. I saw you did an interview with Alicia. Is it a toot or it's out?
Yes, she was our first ever interview, and we brought her back the other day, which was really cool. We had a really good chat with her. We spoke to Vladimir Kozlov last week as well, which was...
Saw that, yeah.
And spoiler for anybody listening, we have got a little meeting with the WWE later this week. Fingers crossed, we'll see what comes.
But to hell with all that, because right now we've got Big Show Brian, so fuck all those guys. You know.
Man, I'm too critical of them. I'm gonna get you guys in trouble. Shit.
Yeah, shut up, man. Jeez.
I'll get Callum can edit that bit. But
their booking is fantastic.
Exactly. But Brian, the Feelings Mutual, man, we love you guys as well, and we'll definitely do this again soon. I believe Callum's putting this up tonight, so we will keep you posted. But for now, Big Show Brian, thank you so much.
Thanks, guys.